Hi, Bryson and Connor and
Hi.
Amelia. It's Grandma and Grandpa. And we bought a book to read to you. It's called A Wrinkle in Time. Grandma's going to read it, and Grandpa's going to act it out.
I am not.
Yes, you are.
Okay.
The grandchildren. Okay, are you ready?
I am.
You are Grandpa?
I am ready.
You like to read books, Grandpa?
I like to read books.
Do ya?
Yeah. Grandpa likes to sleep too.
He likes to sleep instead of read books. Why don't you demonstrate? Okay, wake up, Grandpa. Wake up. Wake up. Okay, so we're going to read, and hopefully, Grandpa can stay awake. Okay, so Mrs. Whatsit. It was a dark and stormy night.
Ooh,
there you go.
Scary.
In her attic bedroom, Margaret Murray, wrapped in an old patchwork quilt, sat on the floor of her bed and watched the trees tossing in the frenzied lashing of the wind. Behind the tree clouds, scuttled frantically across the sky. Every few moments, the moon ripped through them, creating a wraith-like shadows that raced along the ground. Never seen that word before, have you?
No.
Okay, the house shook.
Who?
Wrapped in her quilt, Meg shook. She wasn't usually afraid of weather. Sounds like our Meg. It's not just the weather, she thought. It's the weather on top of everything else. On top of me, on top of Meg Murray, doing everything wrong. School. School was all wrong.
Oh.
She had been dropped down to the lowest section in her grade. That morning, one of her teachers had said crossly, "Really, Meg?
Really?
I don't understand how a child with parents as brilliant as yours are supposed to be such a poor student. If you don't manage to do a little better, you'll have to stay back next year."
Oh no.
During lunch, she roughhoused a little to try to make herself feel better. And one of the girls said scornfully, "After all, Megan, we aren't the grammar school anymore. Why do you always act like such a baby?"
Mm.
And on the way home, you should whip your eyes like, okay. And on the way home from school, walking up the road with her arms full of books, one of the boys had said something about her dumb baby brother. At this, she throwing the books on the side of the road and tackled him with every ounce of strength she had, and arrived home with her blouse torn and a big bruise under one eye. Now, see? Glad Grandpa didn't act that part out. Okay. Sandy and Denny, her 10-year-old twin brothers, who just got home from school an hour earlier than she did, were disgusted. "Let us do the fighting when it's necessary," they told her. "It's delinquent. That's what I am," she thought grimly. "That's what they'll be saying next. Not mother, but them. Everybody else. I wish father." But it was still not possible to think about father without the danger of tears. Only her mother could talk about him in a natural way, saying, "When your father gets back." I always say, "When Daddy gets home," or Steppy, or whatever name Dad left, but it's Grandpa. But Grandpa's wouldn't be mean to you.
No, we love you.
Just his own kids.
Yep, just
Ask
your
Mom.
mommy.
Ask your mommy. Yep. Okay. Getting back to where we were. That's what it says. And when surely her mother must know about people were saying, must be aware of smugly vicious gossip. Surely it must hurt her as it did Meg. But if it did, she gave no outward sign. Nothing ruffled the serenity of her expression. Why can't I hide it too? Meg thought. Why do I always have to show everything? Sometimes we show things with our facial expressions when we're mad. See? Or, Auntie Megan, like, can you do Megan? Okay. Well, what did Kayla look like?
Well, mommy always like to roll her eyes.
Or the.
Well, mommy would burp really loud.
That too. Okay. The window rattled madly in the wind. And she pulled the quilt up close to her. Curled up one of the pillows, a gray stuffed kitten yawned, showing its pink tongue, and tucked its head under again and went back to sleep. Everybody was asleep. Everybody except Meg. Even Charles Wallace, the dumb baby brother, who had an uncanny way of knowing when she was awake and unhappy, and who would come so many nights tiptoeing up the attic stairs. Even Charles Wallace was asleep. Okay, Grandpa fell asleep. We are going to have to wake him up. So, everybody, can you clap? Okay, there's Grandpa. Okay, okay.
Wakey wake.
I'm going to clap to wake Grandpa up. Okay. How could they sleep all day on the radio? There had to have been hurricane warnings. How could they leave her up in the attic in the rickety brass bed, knowing that the roof might blow right off the house?
Oh no.
And she tossed out into the wild wind sky to the land, who knows where. You asked to have an attic bedroom, she told herself savagely. Mother let you have it because you're the oldest, and it's a privilege, not a punishment. Not during a hurricane. It is not a privilege, she said out loud. She tossed her quilt down on the floor of the bed and stood up, and the kitten stretched luxuriously and looked at her with those huge innocent eyes. Go back to sleep, Meg said. Just be glad you're a kitten and not a monster like me. She looked at herself in the wardrobe mirror and made a horrible face. Horrible, horrible face. You can do better than that. Oh, there it is. Oh, okay. Okay, Grandpa, sit down. All right. She looked at herself in the wardrobe mirror and made a horrible face, bearing a mouthful of teeth covered with braces. Automatically, she pushed her glasses into position, ran her fingers through her mouse brown hair so it stood wildly on the end, and let out a sigh as noisy as the wind. The wide wooden floorboards were cold against her feet. The wind blew in the crevices about the window frame, in spite of the protection from the storm sash was supposed to offer. She could hear the wind howling in the chimney. From all the way downstairs, she could hear the Fortinbras. Fortinbras. The big black dog. Weird name for a dog. He started to bark.
It's like Max.
He must have been frightened too. What was he barking at? Fortinbras never barked without a reason. Suddenly, she remembered that when she had gone to the post office to pick up mail, she heard about a tramp who was supposed to have stolen 10 sheets from Mrs. Buncombe, the constable's wife. They hadn't caught him. Maybe he was headed for the Murray's house right now, isolated on the back road as it was, and this time, maybe he'd be more after the sheets. Meg hadn't paid much attention to the talk about the tramp at the time, because the postmistress, with the sugary smile, had asked if she had heard from her father lately. She left her room and made her way through the shadows of the main attic, bumping against the ping-pong table. Now I'll have a bruise on my hip on top of everything else, she thought. Grandma's got a bruise. See? There it is.
There's the bruise.
See? Bad. Okay. Next, she walked into her old dollhouse. Charles Wallace's rocking horse, the twins' electric trains. Why must everything happen to me? She demanded of a large teddy bear. At the foot of the attic stairs, she stood and listened. Not a sound from Charles Wallace's room on the right. On the left, her parents' room. Not a rustle from her mother sleeping alone in the great double bed. She tiptoed down the hall into the twins' room, pushing again at her glasses, as though they could help her see better in the dark. Denny was snoring. Sally murmured something about baseball.
Oh, baseball.
The twins didn't have any problems. They were great students, but they weren't the bad ones either. They were perfectly content with a succession of B's and occasional A's and C's. They were strong, fast runners, and good at games.
Not like your mom.
Who makes her own rules. We're just teasing Mommy.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
I am. Grandpa's not. Okay. And when the cracks were made about anybody in the Murray family, they weren't about Sandy and Denny. She left the twins' room and went downstairs. She went downstairs, avoiding the creaky seventh step. Fortinbras had stopped barking, and it wasn't the tramp at the time then. Fort would go on barking if anybody was around. How does a dog bark? Can you guys bark like doggies?
How does Max bark? Max is loud.
Does he howl?
Ow!
Yeah, put your head up.
Ow!
Okay. So we're going to stop there. And maybe we can do this again in a few days. You guys can watch us over and over and watch Grandpa be goofy. Grandpa be goofy. Bye, guys.
Bye. Good night.
Grandma loves you. Go to sleep for Mommy, okay? Bye.